Hello, listener, and welcome to Book 3, Chapter 15 of Bite-Sized Tales, the audio flash fiction podcast. In today's story, two lovers come together. A content warning. The following story, while not sexually graphic, is strongly sexually suggestive. Listener discretion is advised. The Lovers, written and read by Chris Hussey. Rushing towards each other with a burning passion akin to a campfire when the excessive amounts of newspaper thrown into it by an overly aggressive 6-year-old finally burst into flames, their arms extended towards each other. Crashing into each other's arms like two wet hams from the discount grocery store, the kind that are overly salty and wet, they embraced and their lips met. Moans like the sound of a wet hand over a balloon intermingled with the symphony of their rapidly mixing pancake batter-sounding kisses. Their hands couldn't stop moving up and down the body of the other, fingers and palms gliding over skin and underclothing like a slumber party trying to imitate Tom Cruise's opening dance move from Risky Business. Clumsily, they fumbled at each other, desperate to remove the other's clothing, as if grabbing the last of a pointless Black Friday deal from a basket at Walmart. But success was soon theirs, and the pair found themselves nearly naked and twirling toward the bed like two 6-year-olds who wasted 4 months of their parents' dance class payments. They flopped to the surface of the bed with the grace of your 47-year-old uncle moving in for his first layup in his first game of 3-on-3 basketball in 15 years. Hands grasping and legs moving in some strange interpretive dance, looking like a drunken lesson in ASL. The last of the clothes were flung to the 4 corners of the room, and the lovers beheld each other. Her eyes raked over his body. Slightly overweight, his midsection resembled the background hills in Teletubbyland, with the only difference being his covering was a burnt meat carpet of brown instead of the majestic green. His member stood proudly, eagerly awaiting her attention. It was slightly curved to the left, much in the manner of a freeway off-ramp that you approach far faster than you should as you desperately try to hit the recommended speed. With a feral snarl resembling the failed start of a chainsaw, she pushed him down on the bed and removed her top. Her bare breasts presented themselves before his gaze. He beheld their wonder, their curves bringing visions of water balloons from a 4th of July celebration, with her nipples matching the appearance of the tied-off ends of those same balloons. The brown and pink of her areolas gave the appearance of medium-well ground beef from an 85-15 grocery store meat tube. With their companion nipples, they stared like a pair of unblinking eyes from a DMV teller, the gaze growing only sharper as the nipples grew in their own excitement and stimulation from the cold. His lips parted like a Ziploc sandwich bag, with the word "homogarful" escaping the opening as he reached for her. With one hand clamping on each breast like a cheap pair of drugstore vice grips, he squeezed the DMV areola eyes into a skeptical-looking squint and heaved her closer. Her hands flew to his face, one on either cheek, forcing them together like a street taco corn tortilla, desperate to remain intact in keeping the secret sauce of his saliva wrapped inside. For what seemed like a blissful eternity, but was in reality more like 18 3/4 seconds, their lips and tongues danced together like an action scene from 1970s Hong Kong cinema. Pulling away, her eyes locked with his like a battlefield video game sniper zeroing in on an easy kill. "Take me," she gasped. He responded by seizing both of her shoulders and spinning her back towards the bed. Like a bag of concrete mix from Home Depot, she landed with a cough chuckle. In an instant, he was on her, his arms sliding under her back and securing themselves tightly to her shoulders, much like Ripley on the ladder in the final airlock scene of Aliens with the xenomorph queen. She squealed with glee, and he groaned in accomplishment as they became one. His pace was measured and careful at first, like a nursing assistant with a tongue depressor in an initial examination. But as the excitement overtook them both, his demeanor and motions changed to something akin to a bull rider desperately trying to keep his grip after the gate was opened prematurely. And much like that rider, nearly 8 seconds later, it was over. He rolled off her like an unspooling patch of fresh sod. Inhaling deeply, she reached for her phone. Like a soulless receptionist, she caught up on her texts and DMs, while he simply caught his breath. When finished, she turned towards him. "You hungry?" she spoke. He nodded, staring at the ceiling as if desperate to finish the count of the divots in the tiles, a number that she already well knew. Yes, he responded with as much emotion as the automated greeting at a fast food drive-through order window. Rising from the bed, the pair began picking through their hurriedly discarded clothing, distributing to each other what was found and needed. Hand in hand, they left their apartment, stepping into the cool night air in search of another love. Pizza with enough stringy cheese to gag a horse. Author's note. So, every once in a while you'd see online I can't even remember what the name of the organization is, but it talks about some of the worst written romantic scenes or worst written romance scenes in books. And the one always stood out, I know if you search for Like Zorro, you'll probably find what I'm indicating. That one has stood with me for years. I've always found that one to be quite funny. Point being, with this story, I decided to challenge myself to write something purposefully bad. In a lot of ways, I classified this as probably my best, worst story ever written. But yet, I had an interesting problem at the very end. I wasn't sure exactly how to finish it, and I found myself settling on the fact that these two lovers, for all of their misfires, I guess, when it comes to intimate contact, in the end, actually care about each other and love each other, and I wanted to try and convey that at the end. Hope you enjoyed it. This chapter of Bite-Sized Tales has been brought to you under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives 4.0 International License. Intro and outro music is Fantasy Motion by Alexander Nakarada, provided under a Creative Commons 4.0 license. If you've enjoyed what you've heard today, we'd greatly appreciate reviews and recommendations to your friends. For more information about our authors, please visit bitesizedtales.com. We look forward to reading to you next time.